Hey there, everybody. How's it going? Nice to see you again. Thanks for tuning in. So I'm going to start off with a car analogy because that's the only way I can really explain what's going on here. Somebody made the suggestion in one of my last video. They made the comment, like, why don't you use the Fuji 40 megapixel sensor and compare it against the OM System 20 megapixel sensor and make some prints and see how it compares. And they weren't talking specifically about resolution. They were talking about just overall image quality and resolution. I'm sure that's the real question, right? Because that's what everybody's obsessed with these days. And, the results are, and I said, my answer was, I really don't think there's anything in it from the prints that I've seen, from the test prints that I've been making. But I like to give people what they want, so I ran outside in the snow today and took a couple of quick snaps and printed them out. And my analogy, let me explain my analogy first. It's a car analogy, all right? So you have a choice of 3 cars. You can get yourself a normal 4-cylinder engine Toyota Camry, or any of those jelly bean SUVs, right? Okay, 4-cylinder engine. They all get about 30 miles per gallon. They don't have a whole lot of power, but they'll get you from point A to point B. Okay, they'll cruise all day long on the interstate at 75 miles an hour with 4 passengers and all their luggage. So, okay. And then you can get yourself a souped up sports car kind of a thing with a little bit more horsepower and maybe a turbo, 4-cylinder turbo, like a Subaru WRX, okay? And you're going to get less gas mileage. You're going to be able to put less people in it. It's going to be able to haul less, but it'll cruise all day long on the interstate at 120 miles an hour. Okay, no problems. All right. So another possibility, your third choice, is you can get yourself a 392 Hemi Scat Pack in a Challenger with 400 horsepower and a top speed of 182 miles an hour. And that'll cruise all day long on the interstate at 150 miles an hour. Okay. So you can see where I'm going with this already, right? If all you're doing is taking 4 passengers at 75 miles an hour with all their luggage in comfort, the small 4-cylinder SUV is the right tool for the job, because it'll do what you need it to do. It gets good gas mileage. The insurance is cheap. It's easy to park in the garage. And it doesn't cost you an arm and a leg, right? So your WRX is going to be $50,000, $60,000 with the turbo, the hot coupe or whatever. And the insurance is going to be more. It's not going to get as much passengers. It's not going to get as much gas mileage. Arguably, it's going to be more fun, but you're still limited at 75 miles an hour. That's as fast as you can go on the interstate without getting a ticket, right? Don't get me wrong, it's fun to know that you own it and it's fun to drive, and it's cool that it'll do it. But it's not the most practical tool for the job. And then, of course, the Hemi Challenger gets 10 miles per gallon. It's got 400 horsepower. The insurance is going to cost you a fortune. It's going to be a lot of fun to drive. You're never going to go faster than 100 miles an hour unless you're crazy. You're still limited to 75 miles an hour on the interstate. So you see what I'm getting at here. And that's where I think we are with the Micro Four Thirds, APS-C, and full frame, and even medium format digital. Nobody's printing. 95% of the people taking photographs aren't printing at all. The only thing more megapixels does for you is makes sharper, big prints. Bigger than 16 by 20, arguably 24 by 36 or 20 by 30. So, okay. So if you routinely make prints 20 inches by 30 inches or 24 inches by 36 inches or larger, well then a 40 megapixel or a 60 megapixel camera is probably useful to you. If not, they're all equal, because at 16 by 20 you can't see a difference. It's wasted potential. At 50 miles an hour, your economy car SUV, your hot coupe with a twin turbo or turbo engine, and your Corvette or your Challenger with 500 horsepower are all equal at 50 miles an hour. So it's what we call overkill, and it's been really good marketing. And this I was forced to a certain extent to downsize, but I am absolutely amazed and gobsmacked that for standard and routine print sizes I'm comfortable up to 20 by 30 and 30 by 40s probably. I don't know. I'd have to do it to prove that to myself. But with the Micro Four Thirds, it's fine. It's more than fine. It's equal because you're not exceeding the capabilities. Does an APS-C with 40 megapixels have more capability? Yes. Does a full frame with the 60 megapixels have more capability? Yes. Is anyone ever going to use those capabilities? No. And people say, well, I crop all the time. It allows me to take a little section from this big... You're not doing it right. Okay? I'm just saying, if you're cropping that much, then you're seriously screwing something up in the field. That's just my opinion. You do you. If that's your thing and it turns you on, you go for it. Film, get as much onto film as you can. That's where I come from. So I'm going to use every inch of my sensor. Don't get me wrong, I do crop, but rarely more than 20%. I mean, some people are routinely cropping, like, making verticals out of whatever. So I don't consider that an argument for a larger sensor. You can easily crop. I mean, I'm cropping 1 by 1s out of the 4/3 sensor, out of the 3/4 sensor aspect ratio, and I'm down to 15 megapixels. I'm making 16 by 16 inch prints. So if you're shooting rectangles, you can at least crop 30% and it's still sharp, and probably more. So the whole megapixel war is really a joke at this point, as far as I'm concerned, because it makes no sense at all. And particularly, 8 by 8 inch prints, which you can't, you're not going to be able to see them on the video, but one's OM3 and one's XE5. One's APS-C, one's Micro Four Thirds. The compression's different because one's shot with a 25 millimeter lens, one is shot with a 35 millimeter lens. Those are equivalents, but they're not the same because the compression's different. You can really see that. I made the prints. In my professional opinion, judging these prints, there's nothing in it. They're equally fine art gallery worthy if the compositions were any good. They're better than film, unless you shot 4x5, and they're both equal. Or they're not both equal, they're both equivalents because the compression is different. I'll roll them on screen side by side. You can see what I'm talking about. The Micro Four Thirds is a little wider. That's just the variances of focal lengths when they manufacture them. When it says 25 millimeter, it's not necessarily. It can be 23, it could be 27. I mean, there's some wiggle room there. There always has been. And the same thing with the 35. The 35 millimeter might be a long 35. The 25 millimeter might be a short 25. So That I'm not worried about. But what really is a difference is the compression. And, you know, a 25 millimeter lens compresses the scene like a 25 millimeter lens. If you want to get the same look in APS-C, shoot with a 25 millimeter lens and crop down. And then you'll get the same compression. So, and what do I mean by compression? Compression is the relationship of foreground objects to background objects. Okay. In order to get the same compression that the APS-C camera has, you would have to shoot a 35 millimeter lens and back up with your feet to get the same framing. Okay. So that is a difference. Is one right or one wrong? No. There's neither right or wrong. It's just different, but they're both equivalents. So, okay, getting in the weeds on that one. Sensor size doesn't matter. It's just megapixels in terms of resolution, all right? So sensor size matters for other things. But for sheer resolution, talking about 300 dots per inch on paper when you're printing, all right, a 20 megapixel sensor will print natively to 12 by 18. So your print is going to look like what it looks like in Photoshop or Photolab 9 at 1:1. All right, that's the native resolution. A 40 megapixel sensor prints to about 16 by 20. And a 60 megapixel sensor prints natively to 20 by 30. And that's without things like XD Prime 2, which enhances the detail with AI, and Photoshop's, you know, whatever they've got that enhances detail, and now, or gigapixel AI, for God's sake. So you know, as long as you've got enough data and a quality image and it's sharp to begin with good lenses, the sky's the limit these days. And 20 megapixels is more than enough, unless you're doing some weird scientific application, which nobody's doing. I'm not justifying anything. I'm just saying that, like, I had to go down this rabbit hole, and somebody asked the question: are the prints? What's the difference in the prints? And they're, other than compression because of the focal length, which is neither good nor bad. It just is. It is what it is. There's nothing in it. So that's where I'm at. And I'm amazed and flabbergasted and gobsmacked that I wouldn't have thought that. But I guess it makes sense. I mean, I think what it comes down to also is I've spent a lot of time and effort and money and paper and ink dialing in my printing process and my post-processing process. And I am a minimalist processor. I don't do a whole lot. I've got videos on Patreon showing and on YouTube here showing how I post-process stuff. The first thing I watched this guy years ago in Lightroom. The first thing he did was he racks the highlights all the way down and he racks the shadows all the way up. And like, really? Like, what the hell? So I've never done that in my life. And it's just, that's not how I do it, okay? I know what I like. I'm trying to emulate a film aesthetic in terms of gallery-worthy film prints, because I think those look the best to me. Your opinion may, your mileage may vary, your opinion may be different, but that's what I'm trying. I'm trying to emulate the quality prints that I can get out of a darkroom digitally. And the digital gear in 2026, there's no need for a full frame or a medium format or a APS-C camera. Just as if you're trying to get your family down the road, there's no need for a 392 cubic inch V8 Hemi Hellcat. Is a 392 inch Hemi Hellcat a cool car? Oh, hell yes. And so is a Sony A7R5. And if you've got the money and you can carry it around and you don't have a hereditary heart condition, great. But understand, it's not really doing anything for your photography that a Micro Four Thirds camera couldn't do. Okay? The guy, your neighbor who has the Subaru Outback gets his family down the road the same way you do. It's just that he's getting 30 miles per gallon and he's more comfortable. And his family fits in the car better and he can haul stuff around in the back. So you see the analogy, okay? You see what I'm getting at. I'm not saying it's not cool. I'm just saying don't kid yourself. You probably don't need it. That's what I'm saying. So another Emperor's New Clothes kind of a video, and sorry about that, but I just call them as I see them. I'll tell you right now, if the Micro Four Thirds wasn't doing the business for me, I'd back up to the Fujis. So I know the Fujis are fine and I know they work. Are the Micro Four Thirds as good? And the answer so far is yes. I'm not saying there wouldn't be a problem in the future. There might be. I might come along and go, oh, this is not doing it. But we'll see. We'll cross that bridge, or we'll jump off that bridge when we get there. But I don't think we're going to get there. From everything I've seen so far, I'm pretty impressed. And so there it is. Just thought I'd throw this out there. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Just subscribe though, please, because small channels need all the help they can get. This is a small channel. And subvert the dominant paradigm. What can I tell you? Yeah, enough said on that. And then, of course, there's always Patreon. And that's where the magic really happens. Hit up my Patreon channel. Take a look at it. Join for free. There's content up there for free. If you feel like you just want to support what I'm doing, that would be awesome. And I'd really appreciate it. And to all my Patreon members who do support me, thank you so much, as always. All right. We'll see you out there. Have a great one. Bye.